But then you build up these countries so that they're so powerful, and with a weakened Russia, Russia can't make a move to control. And all the oil reserves are right in here. Okay? And we have effectively made China dependent upon our technology because they need the oil desperately. Now, Uzbekistan, nationally the most vital and the most populous of the Central Asian states, represents the major obstacle to any renewed Russian control over the region. Its dependence is critical to the survival of other Central Asian states and is the least vulnerable to Russian pressures. Where was the first place that President Bush announced we were sending troops after the attacks on September 11th? We were already there. We'd been training Uzbeki troops for more than 5 years. Referring to an area he calls the Eurasian Balkans in a 1997 map in which he circled the exact location. Now remember, this is a book written 4 years ago. And I'm going to show you a map where Zbigniew Brzezinski said the next world conflict was going to take place. Afghanistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan. This is where he said 4 years ago the United States, in order to sustain its precarious, that's my words, economy, would have to control that to maintain its role as the global superpower and to become the world's only superpower. In effect, the ruling nation of the world. That's his map from 4 years ago. Referring to an area he calls the Eurasian Balkans and a 97 map in which he circled the exact location of the current conflict, describing it as the central region of pending conflict for world dominance, Brzezinski writes, moreover, that the Central Asian republics, are of importance from the standpoint of security and historical ambitions to at least 3 of their most immediate and more powerful neighbors, namely Russia, Turkey, and Iran, with China also signaling an increasing geopolitical interest in the region. And he really lets his hair down. More important as a potential economic prize, an enormous concentration of natural gas and oil reserves is located in the region, in addition to important minerals including gold. Didn't know about the gold, did you? The world's energy consumption is bound to vastly increase over the next 2 or 3 decades. Estimates by the U.S. Department of Energy anticipate that world demand will rise by more than 50% between 1993 and 2015, with the most significant increase in consumption occurring in the Far East, China. The momentum of Asia's economic development is already generating massive pressures for the exploration and exploitation of new sources of energy in the Central Asian region, and the Caspian Sea basin are known to contain reserves of natural gas and oil that dwarf those of Kuwait, the Gulf of Mexico, and the North Sea. Once pipelines to the area have been developed, Turkmenistan's truly vast natural gas reserves augur a prosperous future. He's talking about the pipelines. Without sustained and directed American involvement, before long, the forces of global disorder. Global disorder? You mean democracy? Global disorder could come to dominate the world scene, and the possibility of such a fragmentation is inherent in the geopolitical tensions not only of today's Eurasia, but of the world more generally. The most immediate task is to make certain that no state or combination of states gains the capacity to expel the United States from Eurasia, or even to diminish significantly its decisive arbitration role. In the long run, global politics are bound to become increasingly uncongenial to the concentration of hegemonic power in the hands of a single state. Hence, America is not only the first as well as the only truly global superpower, but is also likely to be the very last. And what does he say that's going to happen? He says that the United States will fold into a one-world government in which all nations will cease to exist, run by corporations. I'm paraphrasing it. Now, hold your breath. Very last pages in the book. Moreover, as America becomes an increasingly multicultural society, it may find it more difficult to fashion a consensus on foreign policy issues except in the circumstance of a truly massive and widely perceived direct external threat. Read it again, she said. Maybe I should read this with a German accent. Wait a minute. Moreover, as America becomes an increasingly multicultural society, it may find it more difficult to fashion a consensus on foreign policy issues, except in the circumstance of a truly massive and widely perceived direct external threat. Listen, I want you to know that the Third Reich did not lose the Second World War. It just changed venues. Now we're going to close with a summation. And you all are still with me. Nobody's fallen over in their chairs, right? Can I have a minute to take a hit off my Pepsi here? All right, now I'm going to run you through a timeline, which is what a detective would do for a prosecutor. I'm going to run you through a series of events with some information that's absolutely going to curl your socks. Or something. And let's start with some of this we've covered. 1998 and 2000, former President George Bush travels to Saudi Arabia on behalf of the Carlyle Group, the 11th largest defense contractor. While there, he meets privately with the Saudi royal family and the bin Laden family. Source, Wall Street Journal, September 27th. Also from The Wilderness, that's my newsletter, The Best Enemies Money Can Buy. And I hope some of you folks are going to subscribe tonight. Chris, wherever you are, raise your hand. January 2001, the Bush administration orders the FBI and intelligence agencies to back off investigations involving the bin Laden family, including two of Osama bin Laden's relatives, Abdullah and Omar bin Laden. There goes the black sheep theory, who were living, guess where? In Falls Church, Virginia, right next to CIA headquarters. This followed previous orders dating back to 1996, that's under Bill Clinton, frustrating efforts to investigate the bin Laden family. Source, BBC Newsnight correspondent Greg Palast. And on the TV broadcast, he actually held up an FBI national security report showing that the Bureau had been ordered to leave the bin Ladens alone. By the way, this is just for your edification. This is a copy of the BBC report showing that the Bush administration ordered the FBI to stop investigating the bin Laden family in January, right after taking office. February 13th, UPI terrorism correspondent Richard Sale, while covering a trial of bin Laden's al-Qaeda followers, reports that the National Security Agency has broken bin Laden's encrypted communications. They introduced the evidence into court. The NSA had broken his secure communications. Even if this indicates that bin Laden changed systems in February, it does not mesh with the fact that the government insists that the planning for the September 11th attacks took years. May 2001, Secretary of State Colin Powell gives $43 million in aid to the Taliban. Why? Good question. Purportedly to assist hungry farmers who are starving since the destruction of their opium crop. And in January,